Two teenagers leave together on a summer afternoon in 1973. They carry sleeping bags, a small amount of cash, and a handwritten sign with a single destination. They expect to be gone for a weekend. They are never seen again. What happened between that road and the place they were supposed to arrive is still unknown. And the most unsettling part is not how many people were around them. It's how easily they vanished anyway. To understand how two intelligent, connected teenagers could disappear without a trace, you first have to understand the moment they lived in and why that moment quietly worked against them. In the early 1970s, the United States was still living in the long shadow of the 1960s counterculture. Large music festivals were not unusual. Hitchhiking was common among young people. Trust in strangers, especially within youth subcultures, was not yet considered reckless. Parents worried, but institutions did not react the way they would today. When teenagers failed to return home, the first assumption was often simple. They ran away. That assumption mattered, because once a disappearance is framed as voluntary, the clock slows down. In 1973, there was no national missing children database, no Amber Alerts, no coordinated interstate response. If a local police department chose not to pursue aggressively, nothing replaced that missing urgency. This is the environment in which Mitchel Weiser and Bonnie Bickwit disappeared. Mitchel Weiser was 16 years old, by all accounts, academically gifted, interested in photography and writing. A teenager already thinking about a future beyond his immediate surroundings. Bonnie Bickwit was 15, bright, independent, and described as capable well beyond her age. She was spending the summer working as a helper at a camp in Narrowsburg, New York. They had been dating for over a year. This was not an impulsive pairing. They knew each other's routines, families, and expectations. In late July of 1973, one event dominated youth attention across the Northeast: the Summer Jam at Watkins Glen. Hundreds of thousands of people gathered to see the Grateful Dead, the Allman Brothers Band, and the band. The scale of the event overwhelmed local infrastructure. Traffic stretched for miles. People slept in fields, cars, and along roadsides. For young people, it represented freedom. For investigators, it would later represent chaos. Mitchel traveled from Brooklyn to Narrowsburg to meet Bonnie. They planned to hitchhike together to the festival. They carried roughly $25. They packed sleeping bags, and they made a cardboard sign reading Watkins Glen. Their route placed them along State Route 97, a scenic road following the Delaware River. It was a logical place to hitchhike. It was also a place where rides could come from anywhere and disappear just as easily. The last confirmed sighting of Mitchel and Bonnie comes from a truck driver who gave them a ride. After that moment, there are no verified contacts, no photographs, no confirmed witnesses, no letters, no calls that can be conclusively traced. When they did not return, families alerted authorities. But the response was muted. They were teenagers. They were together. They were headed to a music festival. The conclusion many officials quietly settled on was simple. They left on purpose. That conclusion shaped everything that followed. Critical early steps were missed. Witnesses were not systematically tracked. Records were not preserved with long-term identification in mind. Some original files would later be reported as lost. Years passed. And then something unexpected happened. Mitchel's father received a collect call. The caller identified herself as Bonnie. Before the call could be completed, the line went dead. No number was recovered. No follow-up call came. If the call was real, it meant they were alive after the disappearance. If it was a mistake or a hoax, it introduced false hope into an already fragile investigation. For decades, the case drifted between silence and speculation. Then, nearly 30 years later, a man came forward. He claimed he had traveled with Mitchel and Bonnie after the festival. He said they stopped near the Susquehanna River. He said Bonnie entered the water and struggled. He said Mitchel went in after her. And he said neither came back out. If true, it would explain the absence of evidence. Drowning leaves no witnesses when rivers take bodies far downstream. But there were problems. No emergency call was made. No report was filed. No unidentified bodies from that time and region matched their descriptions. Investigators checked records along multiple counties. Nothing lined up cleanly. So the case remained open and unresolved. Another theory emerged involving a known violent offender active in New York at the time, a man associated with a similar vehicle. A man later convicted of multiple crimes. The connection was circumstantial, but in cases with so few answers, circumstantial links gain weight. This is where the story becomes uncomfortable, because what may have mattered most is not which theory is correct, but how long it took for any of them to be taken seriously. In the decades since 1973, the United States transformed how it handles missing children. National databases were created. Cold case units became formalized. Technology changed what was searchable. Mitchel and Bonnie disappeared just before all of that. Their case became frozen in an era that no longer existed. Only recently did investigators release a new detail. Mitchel had been carrying a Japanese-made camera, an object, not a memory, not a rumor, something that could survive. A reward was offered. The case was reopened, and for the first time in decades, the question was asked publicly again. What actually happened to Mitchel Weiser and Bonnie Bickwit? Were they victims of an accident no one reported? Did they cross paths with the wrong person at the wrong moment? Or did early assumptions quietly erase their trail before it could be followed? What makes this case endure is not just the mystery. It is the realization that disappearance does not require darkness or isolation. Sometimes it only requires time, and a system unprepared to care. If you've been following closely, you've probably noticed something. Every explanation depends on what happened after they were last seen, and that moment is still missing. If you have a theory, or if something in this case stands out to you, leave a comment and share your perspective. And if you want to support long-form investigations like this, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Some cases don't end with answers, but attention is often the only thing that keeps them alive.